The cash cut out.
Fine and that.
Good.
That's who got me.
All right.
That's fine.
We're gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order 5:31. Roll call.
Fine and that.
I am here.
Buddy's absent. Bev Evans. Here. Fred Trudeau.
Here.
Here. Pip.
Here.
Josh Grant.
Present.
We could state this in pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have a couple presentations to the board tonight. We're gonna jump down to number 2 and start with Ms. Ryan, who would like to talk about the 7th and 8th grade trip to Boston.
So the middle school trip is basically a repeat of what it was 3 years ago to Boston.
Mhm.
However, last year it was 4 nights, 5 days. This year it's back to the 2 nights, 3 days. That was pretty unanimous that the 4 nights, 5 days was
Too much?
too much. 2 nights, 3 days was a bit more feasible a couple years ago. The itinerary is essentially identical to what it was 3 years ago. Things like the Boston Tea Party, the ships, and different museums of science and those types of things. So it's funded through the BOCE's Coaster Grant. And I know on the itinerary it says charter bus. So because of our numbers, one of the charter buses will be our GV bus, since that holds 40 students or 40
Mhm.
people. And then we'll have an additional charter bus because of the number of people who will go. So.
Perfect. Any questions for Mr. Brian? Are we getting back, and I can't remember, and this is only because I can't remember if at one point we were doing Boston, 1 year Washington, Boston, Washington.
Last year
Did
was
we skip
Washington.
Washington?
Last year was Washington.
Oh, you did
The
go to
previous
Washington
year,
last year.
previous
Okay.
year would have been, but since COVID, like,
Right.
shut it, we weren't even in school, so
So they
last
did
year,
do Washington
last year.
Okay,
That's why it was 4 days. Previous year.
Gotcha.
So we
Gotcha.
doubled the trip.
so the four days was in Washington, not in Boston.
Yeah, it was Washington,
Gotcha.
Gettysburg, yeah.
Yep. Any questions? I think it's good.
How many chaperones do you have?
We try to do 1 per 10 students, so depending on numbers, probably between 6 to 10 chaperones. Probably on the higher end of that.
Don't want to stop you yet, Brian, or Reagan, I'm just trying to remember. Don's trying to get in, I want to give him the
Sure.
opportunity.
You can always just email a question.
Yeah,
We have, they'll be adopted next meeting. So
Yeah,
you can ask questions.
right. If there's nothing else, I guess I will move on and we can have Don just email you
Okay.
or whatever,
Sounds great.
okay?
Yeah, great.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Nice job, Ms. Ryan. Thank you very much.
She's out.
Have a wonderful evening.
And our counseling team, guidance team, Ms. Preston, Ms. Brott.
So can I just set this up with, Ms. Brock is really excited about coming to present tonight. So loves speaking publicly. I asked them to come and just share. This is one of the new surveys that we brought in at the recommendation of Brooke, Josie, and Jen. And I think it's going to be some really interesting data for us, hopefully, to be able to talk about at the retreat after we've administered the survey twice this year. But having said that, you're going to get kind of a general overview of what we're going to learn. So, Brooke, Josie, thank you so
Can I
much.
sit right here?
You most
All right,
certainly may.
perfect.
I object to
One, I first want to say thank you for last week, you guys sent our.
Absolutely.
Gift, so I just want to say thank you guys, especially last week.
You guys worked hard last week, so.
Yeah. So co-vitality, how it came about is community schools. Katie Mendel does that at BOCES and OEM. And every so often she presenters come in. So I had heard about this. I know Belfast is using it and SIO as well. Co-Vitality is really a survey for grades 4 through 12. So surveys are broken up into primary and secondary, primary being grades 4 and 5, and secondary are your 6th through 12th graders. This is a survey really looking at strengths. So a lot of surveys look at needs. This is a survey that really wanted to identify what individual students' strengths are. And then out of that comes areas where we might identify as needs for improvement or areas to grow. So we sent out a letter this fall to parents to make them aware of doing this survey. Parents had the option to opt out if they wanted to not have their children be a part of the survey. So you made that, an option for families. One of the things I like about this is that it focuses on these different domains. So belief in self, belief in others, emotional competence, and engaged living. So it really looks at those big areas. And I think what we have been able to do as students have completed the survey is identify their individual strengths, identify areas of need. So you'll see in this PowerPoint, there's a lot of information. The big stuff is really the reports. They come out as red reports, blue and green. So red reports are students like at the highest risk, moderate to high risk. And so we looked at these reports. These typically make up 15 to 20% or should be. And GB falls in right with that norm at 19%. We really wanted to look at 2 of these students who were we maybe missing. And I think looking at this, out of the students that came up as red, we were already engaged or connected with 33 out of 41 of those students. So it was just a few that we had missed who didn't come up on our radars just from being, in school and being in the know as students of need. So when these students flagged as red reports, we met with them, Jen, Josie, and I divvied out these different reports based on individual students, met with them, assessed their needs, assessed if there needed to be more intensive counseling, where they were at with things, just got a better feel. I really like this because we haven't ever really used a survey before across the board to look at individual students. I know we do the ACASA survey every year, right? We do that every 2 years. And that yields great information, but it doesn't break it down to the individual student. And so that's what I really liked about these reports. You can access them, or we're able to access them in live time. So as the student finishes those, we're able to see what the results are immediately, which is very nice. We ended up using, the students did not put in their names on the survey because I think confidentiality is very important. Instead, we use student ID numbers, which we printed out and we have access. Josie, Jen, and I are the only ones that have access to those reports because we felt like confidentiality was very important to get students to really open up and be honest about, where they're at. Blue reports make up 30 to 40%. I think we again fell right within that range. I think and green reports as well should have made up the other 30 to 40%. I think our green reports were like 39%. And I think our blue reports were about 34%. So we fall right into the norm of what has been seen across the board with students.
So one of the key components to this is this falls directly in line with our community schools. So when you step back at all of the socio-emotional interventions and supports that we have as a district in place, from starting originally with our free meal program to the extended school day care to our telemedicine program, the goal is to be an all-encompassing piece.
Right.
Anybody who's watching the media or seeing one of the major consequences of the pandemic is the increased feelings of isolation, the increased feelings of anxiety and depression that are happening within our kids. I'm listening to a book that's also happening right now as a book study here on campus called What Happened to You? And it's really kind of, it's around trauma. We've done some very basic work on poverty and trauma in the district. About 3 years ago, we did the poverty simulation where we had our staff and faculty go through what it was like to, to be raised in a house that was high in trauma and high in ACEs scores. So this is another way, another tool that we can use to identify students. And at a foundational level, my goal for us is that we never have a kid who is disconnected from the supports that they need. And this survey tool was a great way for us to identify. And again, 33 out of 41 is fantastic. And I know them well enough to know that those 8 were the immediate ones that they jumped right to and found ways that we're going to build those connections. So what are some questions you may have on this, or anything that you sound interesting or?
The second page, or the smaller one, is the actual printout of what we get for students. So it lists across the top their strengths, areas to enhance, areas for growth. I really like on the back, on the last page, additional survey results. I really like looking at overall life satisfaction and school connectedness. Those were 2 huge ones that we were looking at kiddos as well. If they aren't connected, why aren't they connected, and how can we get them connected? So it's just an example of one of the reports that was there.
Some of the 33 to 41, that group, that was 41 individuals that came in red. What, were they primarily older or younger kids?
I think it was a mix.
Was it a pretty big mix?
Yeah, I think it was, I'd say the higher, I was gonna say middle school, on the start of the year.
Yeah, 7th, 8th grade. That's a tough age for kids anyway. And then
Yeah.
you throw in all the other crap that's going on and all that stuff they have access to.
Yeah.
On the web and things. It's just a totally different world.
Yeah.
But it was.
And then we were looking at these, these 8th graders, their last normal year of school was 5th grade. And so just looking at those critical years of developing connections, problem solving skills, socialization.
One of the questions I had, is are we mailing these home to families?
No.
Is there a reason for that?
I think we want students to be honest, and so
You're
we
afraid
talked
that
about
it was
confidentiality.
That's good.
Yeah. I think if there is a risk, and we talk with students and we communicate with parents.
Okay.
Let them said if they want it, and if they want it, they can answer it.
So those 8 kids that you grabbed out, you went into this was just on once so far?
Yes, so initially we were looking at 3 times a year. That's a lot, coming to realizing that. So we're gonna do it again, I think probably May. I'd like to do it after testing with our younger grades.
When was this one done?
October.
So they were just getting kind of back into the swing of school and all that good stuff.
To kind of piggyback off this, because it all goes together, I want you guys to know that we're in the classroom, we're doing mental health, we're doing social emotional. John and Brooke and Sully, you guys know Mr. S. They hit it hard up through 6th grade, and then I've been in 7 to 12, 2 or 3 times already. And I've been bringing presenters in where I see that there's issues. Social media, phone, it's definitely an issue. And I just had a presenter come in who's a peer advocate. We all know the opioid crisis that's going around. And she came in and talked to the seniors about addiction. So things that we're seeing, point being, that's flags, we're trying to get in there and talk about it and bring presenters in if we don't feel like we can. But we referred, I bet you I refer 20 kids out for counseling that are going in the last 2-3 years. Very connected with Catholic Charities. Deb Miller, do you guys know Deb Miller now? Great person. Phenomenal. Yeah, getting good results. She communicates with us. They actually hired somebody else. She joked and said, well, because of Genesee Valley, we need to hire somebody else.
Yeah.
So that's okay. We want
Yeah.
people to be connected. So just want to share those little things.
And I think, you know, in our elementary world, PBIS continues to go strong. I
Right.
think those kids and earning their cause, it's the most exciting part of their day is Friday mornings coming around with prize wheels, so. I have to figure out how to do that.
Yeah,
Maybe adults even.
I know with COVID and it's been a while, it's probably been 2 or 3 years since I know I came in with the health department to do the, when you said social media, it's been a while, so I'm wondering, I don't even know who's doing it, the health department, Chrissy Maston or Chrissy Canning that was there,
Yeah.
it's left, so, you know, reach out if you need, if you think that's needed. If Tyler doesn't have somebody, I would be more than willing to come in on my time to do it.
Sounds good. And we made it, I did more, made it my goal when I was going to classrooms to get every single kid the crisis number.
Yes.
I made every kid in 10 through 12, put it in their phone,
Mm-hmm.
and the rest wrote it down, and they were very good about it. Because I said, you might never need this crisis number, but you might know somebody who might have it. And I was in the classroom, and I mean, unless they were absent, they were there, and I asked them to write it down and to share that, so we wanted to have resources.
Yeah.
You know, best we can.
Well, and I don't have to say this, but I'm going to. Given everything that we've all been going through
Oh,
recently,
absolutely.
we have the best counseling staff, the best team,
Don't have
no
to ask
question
me.
about it, so I'm not just blowing smoke at you, Brooke. Josie, we know. But no, I mean, they just really, they do a great job of not only supporting kids, but they support each other and they communicate really well with our leadership team, and that's really appreciated because it's not the same in every district. We're really fortunate.
Thank you.
Unfortunate that
Thank you,
your
guys.
National Recognition Week fell last week with everything else going on, but thank you for everything that you did for not only the kids, but the staff.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for supporting us.
Absolutely.
Allowing us to do this stuff. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, guys. Nice job. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Mr. Baker, welcome.
Yes, can you hear me?
Okay. We just got done with a couple presentations that if you didn't catch them, will be on the, obviously, the webpage under our meeting. So you may have to watch our meeting back to catch those 2 presentations, but we haven't done any business yet, so you haven't really missed a whole lot.
Okay,
Very well. Moving on from the presentations, if we do have a graduate that's supposed to be here tonight, Don, and when he shows up, we'll pause the meeting for a second and do his presentation.
cool.
Until then, I need a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the January 10th and the January 24th meetings as submitted.
So
Yeah. Any questions on those minutes of either the 10th or the 24th? All those in favor?
Aye,
Opposed? Motion carries. The administrative reports were provided in the emails, and there also are copies here. Moving on to financial reports, I will turn it over to Ms. Ostrander.
Yeah, so I am in the thick of the budget currently. It's time to set the tax levy, so I ran the numbers for that. Our maximum levy this year is just about 3.1 million. So we're able to increase that 113,000, which is a 3.73% increase. Now, the past several years, we've increased it 0.9%, which is right around $27,000. And we can continue to do that. I just kind of wanted to gauge where you guys are at as far as the tax levy. So the maximum is 3.73.
We always try to keep it
It's
at
always
the
good to
lowest we
increase
can
it.
without doing zero, because we want to give ourselves some room.
Yeah, I would recommend 0%.
No.
You know, next year is looking good, but the years after that is really unknown at this point, so. It's like too much money on people.
Yeah.
But again, looking out for the taxpayers, I don't want to increase it to the max. as well. So I wasn't sure if you guys had a preference. You got a number that's set against
So,
raising it.
Can't keep
I
it
don't-
0.9.
We can keep it at 0.9. That's what we've done probably the past 4.
Explain to me the disadvantages of doing that.
It's basically we're leaving money, disadvantages of what, going out to 0% or 0.9.
0.9.
We're just basically, I would recommend a 0.9% increase, but we're just leaving money in it.
So that's fine. The reality of, and I'm not advocating that we go to the full tax levy, that clear.
Yeah.
Is that every year that you don't get the full tax levy,
Right,
is that you're leaving compound money, and it compounds down the years, negative against your budget.
yeah,
So at some point, the fear is that if
we have a,
we have a significant deficit,
Year.
we've left 4, 5, 6 years, so what we've done, and Aaron's always been responsible about what is a balancing act between maintaining some type of tax levy increase that is within the reasonable, the levy set limit, but also not going out so far that we're having to consistently raise taxes over the top.
Yeah.
So we've had 0.9 for 3 or 4 years in a row, I believe, right now. So, and I think Aaron's recommendation is that we remain,
at that
0.9.
0.9.
and she was looking for feedback from you guys as to whether or not you have an issue with that.
I do not. I
Don?
mean, I think
I maybe heard half of it.
How about I give you a call tomorrow and talk about, she hasn't got to set it until later on,
March 1st.
March 1st, but talk about the tax levy, see if you have any questions on it. I'll update you on the presentations as well. All right?
Okay,
Okay, and then other than that, you'll see the motion that we just, regarding what we discussed
Mhm.
at the work session, the refinancing of the bonds. They came in a little lower than what we were anticipating, and that's due to the rising interest rates as we feared. But just speaking with our financial advisors, they really don't recommend waiting any longer on
Right.
this. So we still got a pretty good budgetary savings. The one that is being recommended is right around 890,000. So that's just under 7% savings, which is still great.
well, and if we don't do it, we get nothing and the
Right.
taxpayers don't gain that 800.
Yeah, it's really a win. That's all I have.
I will entertain a motion to approve the treasurer's reports. Oh. Second. Josh? Any questions on the treasurer's reports? All those in favor?
aye,
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve the warrant reports. John, or Derek? And Fred? Questions on the warrant reports? Hearing no questions, all those in favor?
aye,
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the BOCES unit cost methodology, which was provided in your handouts for the 22-23 fiscal year. Eric and Bev. Questions on the unit cost methodology that Aaron can answer.
Nice.
All those in favor?
aye,
Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the BOCES cooperative purchasing resolution for various supplies, commodities, and/or services for the 22-23 fiscal year. Josh,
second,
thanks, Don. Any questions on that? It has not changed since it's a yearly motion, right?
Yeah, yep.
All those in favor?
aye,
Opposed? Motion carries. E, and this is what the one that Aaron was talking about. I need a motion to approve the refunding bond resolution. I'll read the caption at the top, a refunding bond resolution dated February 14th, 2022, authorizing the issuance of funding bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $12,250,000 of the Genesee Valley Central School District, Allegheny County, New York, pursuant to the local finance law and providing for other matters in relation thereto. And it's goes on from there. I'm not gonna read the whereas, I'm hoping you get a chance to review it prior to tonight, but I'll entertain that motion. Beth? And a second. Aaron? Questions on the bond resolution?
I have a couple questions.
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
So simply put, we're refunding the bond. In other words, we're going a more inexpensive route to save money over a period of time. Is that correct?
Yes.
Simply put?
Yep.
And what is it, less interest rate or what?
Yeah, that has a lot to do with it, the better interest rate.
We're
Yeah.
gonna extend the time. I see that it was due between, I forget what it was, the 23rd and 2030.
Yeah, no, the time doesn't get extended. It'll still mature on the 2030.
Still fall in that time frame?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
So we're
Okay.
basically saving the taxpayers a little over 800 and
Yeah, almost
20,000.
900,000.
almost
Yeah.
$900,000.
Okay, wow.
And we have to act now because, as Aaron said, the interest rates keep changing for the, not for the better, but for the worse.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the 2021 capital improvement project, which was the flooring, electronic access control to the classroom, some other things in the estimated cost of $391,200, funded by the Coronavirus Response Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act.
Move on that.
Josh? Second, Bev? Questions on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need another motion to approve a capital improvement project, excuse me. And this would add some new playground equipment, outdoor wellness equipment, new HVAC equipment in various spaces at a cost of $585,584 through the American Recovery Plan Act. Right? Second? Josh, thank you. Any questions on that?
Yeah, I have a couple.
Go ahead.
So the new playground, is this a new playground that will be built on a different site, or are we rebuilding the one that exists on the south wing of the school?
This is what we presented to you earlier in the year, Don. This is the pre-kindergarten playground.
Oh, okay.
So
All
it's just the pre-K one. It's a small playground that's fenced in for our 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds who may like to wander. And then the outdoor wellness equipment came from a request from our secondary students who wanted some type of a secondary playground. And so we're looking at, and we haven't finalized what we're doing, but we're looking at some type of outdoor fitness equipment that would be able to be outside so students can go use those in the secondary during a recess or study hall.
do they have to be housed?
No, they're built to be outside. It's like a
Okay.
fitness, you see some of the fitness trails where they have different types of activities that you can do. That's what it's kind of set up as, like an obstacle course.
I know we had talked about outdoor basketball. Is
That
that
is
part of
not-
that?
that
That's
is not
part of
At
this?
this point, no.
Okay.
Again, when we get the prices in, we
Yes,
can find a way to get that in, either
Into
that,
this?
yes, or into when we renovate the tennis courts, that is
Yes.
a priority. But as of right now, remember, as of right now, these are our ideas to satisfy the requirements of the American Recovery Plan Act. And then we started the process for getting New York State approval, and New York State came back and said, hey, you need to do resolutions that the board approves
yes.
these plans to go forward. That's what this really is doing. We have a very general outline right now, and we're waiting for architects to come back with kind of more specifics as we get closer to it.
Okay. The HAVAC equipment in various places?
No, it's air handlers. And so we haven't defined which air handlers we're going to do. We have, I think there's 24, that's what comes to
Something, right.
memory. We have some of them included in this funding. We also have some air handlers included in our electrical, our EPC plan, our electrical performance contract that we're doing. So the goal is to try to replace as many of the air handlers as we can, because it's time, they're at their end of life. But we're trying to do it through as much grant funding or as cheapest way for the taxpayer as possible. So through the electrical performance contract or through using federal funds to do that, that's what we're trying to do. So we're not going to be able to do all of the air handlers, but our goal is that we'll get more than half, actually close to 2/3 of the air handlers done either through the federal funding and or the electrical performance contract.
Okay, to better improve the air quality?
Yeah, it's basically our air handlers are at their end of life. So this absolutely increases their filtration ability and their efficiency by having, they're over 20 years old. So they last about 20 to 25 years.
One that make noise.
Yep. So that includes not only our building, but also the bus garage. Is what we're looking at as well.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? There's no other questions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the consent agenda and general action items. There's a list of 13 items under the consent agenda. If you look at the addendum, it has item number 13 on that as a volunteer for the drama club. I need a motion and a second.
So
Eric? Second. Bev? Questions? Go ahead, Freddie.
Sat and read over the trip and thought about what took place on the last trip. People,
Which trip are you talking about? Costa Rica trip?
the load club going to Costa Rica
Yep.
and stuff.
And when you reference what happened on the last trip, what are you referencing?
People didn't get to go on the trip.
Oh,
They couldn't
Oh,
get their
the-
money back.
Yep.
so we have, that trip is going right now in, planned for April right now, it's still on. And as of last month, all but one person who was not able to go, had sold their trip. So, and that was as of last month, and Mrs. Horn was really optimistic that they were gonna have the ability to find that other
That
person
last
that was
person.
interested, because there were some people that were still thinking it over. and looking into it.
That's fine. That's great. I'm glad. My thing is with us as a board approving this trip,
Mhm.
do we somehow
Full liability.
accept? Sure.
I was,
So the liability comes between it's the same now. The liability comes between the tour company and the individuals paying. You're sanctioning, which means you're indemnifying the participants to go forward, which means if someone gets hurt, our insurance will be the first, we'll follow our policies. And we're saying that because this is a school trip, there's a set of school guidelines that have to be followed in order for it to participate. But under no circumstances are we saying that we're going to cover the cost of the trip if it doesn't happen. Because that is all of the term, and when you look at the terms of the contracts that each individual signs with the tour company, it's all spelled out there. And again, that is an agreement between the individual and the tour company. The school district does not take on any responsibility for that.
and speaking from personal experience, because this trip here, even though we're approving it now, you had to sign up to save a little bit of money early, so I signed gas up. And I actually paid for a little bit better insurance, just so in case something does happen, I'm not gonna lose a ton of money, but
There's different layers of
yeah,
insurance.
there's
involved
different
with-
layers of
With
insurance.
these type of trips. So the parents can pay for, I think it's $100 more.
Yeah,
To cover.
it wasn't a
cost of
ton
the
more,
trip. So,
not when you're looking at, you're looking at $3,800, an extra $200 to have that reassurance that if something happens and she gets sick the week before we go, where she goes.
Okay,
did I answer your question? So there's no, the contract's between the individual and the tour company.
with us having the both approved on it.
Yeah.
Understood.
Any other questions? I know from what you received in your packets, I had just a couple typographical errors with the fire drill report that I called my Chris on Graham and then called Doc on, and those have been fixed. So the new report is what you have in front of you. Just a couple typos where names were wrong and they still had COVID stuff on that doesn't apply now. If I hear no other questions, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Under personnel action items,
Very good.
Yeah, I'm just crossing out something on my
I
list.
wasn't sure if it was, I wasn't sure if it was
I
working.
got a whole list.
You got a whole list tonight, all right.
under personnel action items,
That's
letter
what I was gonna give you mine.
letter A. I need a motion and a second to accept the resignation of Dan Hunt as a bus driver due to retirement June 30th.
So move.
Don,
Second.
Eric, thank you. Questions? Obviously, Dan wants to retire.
Can you find somebody to replace himself?
Yeah, really. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to accept the resignation of Brooke Seitz as a fourth grade teacher effective March 25th, 2022. Josh? Second. Bev, thank you. Questions on Brooke? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the substitute Caitlin Campbell as a substitute teacher aide pending fingerprint clearance.
So moved.
Eric?
Second.
I got that. Thank you. Questions on Caitlin's application? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to appoint long-term substitute teacher Antonio Miguel Menchaca to probationary period of long-term sub for a business teacher effective on or about February 28th through the end of the school year. Rate of pay shall be 100 or 1/200 of step one. And that would be for Bill Horton's retirement.
So move.
I got Don with the motion and Bev with the second. Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to appoint the web designer, Kim Marciano, to replace Mr. Horton upon his retirement. Josh? Eric? Questions? Concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Kim, for stepping up.
We have to meet tomorrow because I have a request from the board president to
Yes.
make a change on the website. So see you as of tomorrow.
What time are you closing here? You're off at like 7:30, 7 o'clock?
Absolutely. Look forward to seeing you.
If you're in his office every day, then there's something wrong, we need to talk apparently.
I'm in to see Pam.
That's honest.
I need a motion to appoint senior class advisor. What are you getting yourself into, Pam Wonderhalder, for the remainder of the school year?
Remember, weapons are not allowed.
I know.
Do it. I got Bev with the motion. Fred for the second.
I'll third it.
Any questions as to Pam's sanity?
Mental stability?
Thank you for stepping up. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Pam.
I guess.
I need a motion to appoint Michelle Slomek as a long-term substitute in the 4th grade, effective on or about March 28th through the end of the school year. John? Do I have a second?
Second,
Thanks, John.
she's back.
She's back. Any questions on that? I do have a question. And it's only, please, Brian, speak up if that can. What was the thought? Because I know we're replacing 2 teachers, one under horrible circumstances.
Your schedules.
Schedules?
There's available.
Okay. Okay. I
It was-
just,
it was-
I
One had a vacation plan, and so
Gotcha.
that's exactly what it was.
was just thinking that the
Yep.
support that one group of kids really
Yep.
can use.
So it was available. We tried to do it on a hierarchy of needs, and then we
Gotcha.
looked at who was
Who
available.
was available.
And that's what it came down to.
Unfortunately, yes. Okay.
But to your concern, the teachers being supported incredibly well with a number of
Okay.
resources from our instructional coaches to us, administration.
Not that I don't think she's capable, it's just a,
And our guidance staff,
Toss here,
is in there quite a bit.
Yep.
Absolutely.
any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to appoint long-term sub Julia Weshy to the 5th grade position effective February 8th of 2022.
So moved.
Aaron,
Second.
Josh, thank you. Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I have one more on the addendum. Need a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement with the GBEA. that
So
should-
moved.
Thank you, Don. That should a member of the estate association die while actively employed by the district, certain benefits should be paid out to the then deceased employee's family.
Second.
Eric, thank you. Questions on the MOU? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I just want to say thank you. It was made clear to me immediately when I brought this to board leadership and the rest of the board through some of the questions I received, where your hearts are and where your actions led you to. And this is the type of organization that I want to work for, that takes care of our people. So thank you.
Information.
Board meetings are listed. Our next regular board meeting is March 14th. We have a budget work session on the 28th, and then remember that our April meeting is on a Tuesday because we have to align it with our vote and adopt the GB and both BOCES budgets. So just make sure your calendars are updated for April 19th. I want to let you know, I got an email today that unfortunately the New York City trip that we approved is not going to be able to take place because we didn't have enough students that were interested or able to participate. So we're going to look at possibly pushing it to October, see if we can gain some additional students to participate. Just in case you were wondering, I'll make sure you're aware of that. Tim, you have a conversation about advertisement in the JAG Pride for the school.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking, and we can put a motion on the next board meeting, but looking, last year, I think we were delinquent. I don't think we wound up doing this in time, and if so, then it was missed, but looking for your thoughts. Normally, the board takes out an ad in the yearbook to help the yearbook staff. The cost of the ads, I know where my opinion is, but a business card ad is $20, quarter page ad $35, half page $65, a full page ad is $130. Double full page ad is $225. I know they're getting close to trying to wrap everything up and get it out to the public. What are your thoughts? My thoughts are a full page ad. We've done either a half or a full page ad. Last year, we did not have an ad in the yearbook, so I would say a full. But any hesitation as to a full page ad for the $130?
I would support a full page ad.
Okay. I've got some just brief thoughts drawn up. I'll get with Nancy.
Is there a theme?
Nicole.
Is there a theme?
I don't know if there's a theme to the yearbook this year.
You know,
No, I mean our ad.
I think Eric wants to
I think
help
it
you.
was, I don't know if I want to open myself up to that.
Star audience.
I'll get something drawn up with Nancy and have everybody approve it before we get it submitted, and then the resolution, I'm assuming, will go because it's an expenditure, right? Does this come out of, I think it's always been paid out of our board allotment. We don't need a resolution for that. Okay, okay.
You just get to approve what site that you want.
Yes. So we'll go, I'll talk to Nancy about a full page, get something drawn up, and then have you guys send it out to you via email. Okay?
The other piece of information discussion is Pam and I have been struggling because of the number of changes that are actually happening between the agenda we present to you guys on Monday and Wednesday when she tries to get the agendas out to you. What we're finding is we're struggling more to get the agendas out to you by Thursday. It's more of a reality. And so I had a conversation with Tim, and we're starting to do next year's board schedule and calendar. And so I proposed that we move the agenda meetings from Monday to Wednesday and wanted to see if anyone had a strong preference against it. And the main reason is it gives us 2 additional days to gather the rest of the resolutions together. It gives us a couple more days in time, particularly when we have 2 board meetings a month. That window's a tight window for us to get those resolutions together. So
I think it helps me because I teach at open, work classes a semester, so it frees up, and they're always Mondays. So it frees up. I never have Monday to myself. And I know Buddy, in talking to him, I didn't think it was a huge, I don't believe he had any issues with it.
He has meetings on
On Mondays also, so it
Yeah, I
would
don't-
free us up at least one Monday a month.
Doesn't matter to me.
It's okay with me.
Wednesdays works.
So as we schedule for next year, we'll look to do that. Thank you.
Does Wednesday work for you,
That's fine.
retired guy?
That's fine.
Okay,
That is all I have.
very well. No other business. I would entertain a motion. We do have a couple things we need to talk about in executive session regarding personnel and a contract. So if I could have a motion to enter executive session. Josh, thank you. Eric, second. I would. All those in favor?
Aye.
Move to executive session at 6:21.
Have Have a wonderful night, Donna.
Thank you
Thank you, Kim.
for that MOU. Thank you. It's not something we ever wanted to think about, but when he called me, I